Men, listen closely. The woman sitting across from you today is not the woman your grandfather married. Not worse, not better, just different. And if you don't understand that difference, you'll bleed time, money, and sanity in relationships that drain you instead of build you. Modern culture has rewritten the software of dating. Many women are told they're queens by default, that simply existing is enough. Meanwhile, the traditional skills that helped relationships function, cooking, homemaking, nurturing, emotional regulation, wise budgeting, are framed as oppression instead of contribution. Here's the issue. Expectations didn't fall with the skill set. They skyrocketed. Men are still expected to provide, protect, lead, plan, fix, and absorb emotional storms. But what's often offered in return? Good vibes, validation, and the promise not to be toxic. Provision is mandatory. Reciprocity is negotiable. So men quietly lower their expectations to survive. You start assuming she won't cook, won't clean, won't support, won't contribute financially. You tell yourself, that's just how it is now. And every time you accept less, you respect yourself a little less too. This is your wake-up call. Stop negotiating with entitlement. Stop calling bare minimum effort love. Stop believing you're asking too much when you want a partner who actually adds value to your life. Your job is not to hate women. Your job is to filter ruthlessly. Look at actions, not aesthetics. Does she contribute or just consume? Does she appreciate or only expect? Can she handle discomfort, responsibility, and accountability? Or does every hard conversation become an attack? Most men don't have a standards problem. They have a backbone problem. You don't need to fix the dating market. You just need to refuse bad deals. Some women can and do bring real partnership to the table. The rest, let them pass. Because in this reality, peace alone is better than chaos with company. Part 1. The Wake-Up Call Men. It's time to face a truth most people are too afraid to say out loud. The relationship landscape your grandfather navigated is gone. The women he built families with, women raised on responsibility, resilience, and reciprocity, are nearly extinct. In their place stands a new kind of woman, shaped not by necessity or community, but by algorithms, validation loops, and a culture that rewards entitlement while punishing accountability. And if you don't understand how this shift happened, you'll walk blindly into relationships that drain you, use you, and break you. Modern women have been told since childhood that they deserve the world simply for existing, that they're queens before they ever build a kingdom. That standards, they should have them sky high. But responsibility, contribution, effort, those are optional, outdated, or oppressive, depending on the day. Men, meanwhile, have not been granted the same cultural rewrite. You're still expected to provide, protect, lead, initiate, fix, and shoulder emotional weight like your ancestors did. But the reciprocity that once balanced that burden is now rare. The social contract broke, but you're still being held to its original terms. This is the imbalance no one wants to admit. Women's expectations have risen while their contributions have fallen. It's not about cooking or cleaning. It's about competence. It's about a generation that was taught self-expression, but not self-discipline, confidence, but not humility, desires, but not duties. And then men are told they're toxic for wanting what every generation before them took for granted. Partnership, not parasitism. Many men respond to this shift by lowering their expectations. You tell yourself, this is just modern dating. You accept less and pretend you're satisfied. You do more and call it love. You tolerate disrespect and call it patience. But every time you adjust downward, your self-respect adjusts with it. This is your wake-up call. You're not asking for too much. You're asking for what used to be normal. The problem isn't your standards. It's your willingness to abandon them. Stop apologizing for wanting reciprocity. Stop romanticizing dysfunction. Stop confusing beauty with value. A woman who offers nothing but demands everything is not a partner. She's a liability. The first step in surviving the modern dating market is acknowledging reality. Most women today were not raised to be partners. They were raised to be served. Partnership now requires filtering, boundaries, and a refusal to tolerate entitlement. Because while rare, there are women who still value mutual effort, respect, and contribution, but you'll never find them while entertaining the ones who don't. The world has changed. The dating market has changed. Now the question is, will you? Part 2. The new rules of the game. To survive modern relationships, men need to understand something crucial. The old rulebook is dead. The roles, expectations, and dynamics that shaped your father's and grandfather's marriages have been replaced with a chaotic, contradictory system where men are still required to perform, but women are no longer required to reciprocate. And here's the dangerous truth. Most men are still playing by old rules in a game that no longer exists. Today's relationship landscape is defined by emotional volatility, shifting standards, and a relentless emphasis on what men owe rather than what women contribute. It is a marketplace where entitlement is marketed as empowerment and accountability is framed as oppression. Women are told to never settle, even when they bring nothing of value to the table. Meanwhile, men are told to do better, even when they're carrying the entire relationship on their backs. This has created a new kind of imbalance, one deeper than just chores or cooking. It's ideological, it's psychological, it's structural. Modern women have been programmed to believe that effort is optional, responsibility is antiquated, and expectations should always be rising. They want the benefits of traditional men, protection, provision, leadership, but reject the responsibilities of traditional women. They want freedom without sacrifice, equality without contribution, power without accountability, and men are expected to nod, support, applaud, and accommodate. But here's where men quietly break. You can't uphold a system that doesn't uphold you. The average man today finds himself caught between being a provider and being a therapist, between being emotionally available but never emotionally burdened, between being strong yet soft, stoic yet expressive, masculine yet safe. And every wrong move, every unmet expectation, every boundary leads to accusations, toxic, controlling, emotionally unavailable. This is the trap. Men are judged by outcomes, while women are judged by intentions. And so men start shrinking themselves. They suppress needs to avoid conflict. They hide frustrations to avoid being labeled. They take on every responsibility because asking for help sparks a fight. They ignore disrespect because speaking up hurts her feelings. They do more and receive less, until they forget what a balanced relationship even looks like. This is where you must wake up. Modern dating requires strategy, not sacrifice. The men who survive are the ones who adapt, not by lowering standards, but by enforcing them early and unapologetically. Test consistency, test accountability, test reciprocity. Watch how she handles conflict. Watch how she handles no. Watch whether her energy matches her expectations. Most importantly, stop believing effort makes a woman stay. Standards make a woman stay. The new rules are simple. You cannot fix entitlement. You cannot repair lack of character. You cannot negotiate reciprocity from someone who only knows how to take. You can only filter. And the men who learn this early don't end up bitter. They end up free. Part 3. The real battle isn't men versus women. Here's the part most people miss. The real crisis isn't modern women. The real crisis is a generation of men and women both raised in a culture that teaches rights without responsibilities, expectations without effort, and self-focus without self-awareness. Everyone is told they deserve everything. No one is taught how to earn anything. And so men look at women and say, they've changed. Women look at men and say, they've weakened, but both are pointing in the wrong direction. The truth? Modern relationships are collapsing because the culture itself is broken. We live in an environment engineered to keep both genders dissatisfied. Women are told they should never compromise, never submit, never serve, never yield, never stop wanting more. Men are told they must always provide, always improve, always adapt, always absorb pressure without complaint. Everyone is exhausted. Everyone is resentful. Everyone feels like they're giving more than they're getting. Modern men feel they're losing value. Modern women feel they're fighting to keep theirs. Both are stuck in a never-ending competition for power, not partnership. This is the battlefield, not men versus women, but individuals versus a system designed to divide them. And here's the harsh truth men must face. You cannot fix a broken dating market, but you can fix how you move within it. The real strategy isn't lowering standards or becoming hyper-strict. The real strategy is clarity. Clarity about what you want, clarity about what you offer, clarity about what you will not tolerate, clarity about the kind of woman and man you are becoming. Because while many people today suffer from entitlement, distraction, and lack of accountability, not everyone does. There are women who bring value. There are women who appreciate effort. There are women who want partnership over power. They're not extinct. They're just drowned out by the loudest, angriest voices. Men, your mission isn't to resent women. Your mission is to filter for character, not compliance. To choose someone who shares your values, not someone who fits your frustrations. To pursue a woman who contributes because she wants to, not because she's pressured to. The war isn't between genders. It's between maturity and immaturity in both sexes. The men who win in modern relationships are not the angriest, not the toughest, not the most controlling. They are the men who refuse to participate in dysfunction. They don't chase chaos. They don't tolerate disrespect. They don't negotiate their dignity. And they don't blame an entire gender for what is ultimately a cultural failure. They simply choose better, starting with themselves. Part 4. The men who win the modern dating market. If parts 1 through 3 woke you up to the reality shift, then part 4 is where we talk strategy. Not fear, not bitterness, not blame. Strategy. Because while the dating landscape has changed, it has not collapsed. The men who thrive today aren't the ones who complain. They're the ones who adapt intelligently without abandoning their values. Modern dating is chaotic, yes. Expectations are inconsistent. Roles are unclear. Accountability is rare. But here's the truth buried under all the noise. The men who win are the men who stop chasing validation and start leading with standards. Not harshness, not dominance, not fear, standards. Most men lose because they treat relationships like negotiations for approval. They overinvest, overgive, overexplain, overaccommodate, hoping she'll appreciate their effort. But appreciation rarely comes when effort is used to compensate for a lack of boundaries. The men who succeed understand something different. Value is not in what you give. Value is in what you refuse to accept. These men don't beg for respect. They require it. They don't audition for women. They observe women. They don't collapse under emotional volatility. They remain steady. They don't tolerate inconsistency. They walk away early. Not because they're cold, because they know peace is priceless. Here is what these men do differently. 1. They filter, not fix. They don't take on a partner as a project. They don't try to teach her accountability, gratitude, or stability. They simply choose women who already have those traits, or they move on. Good relationships aren't built on potential. They're built on reality. 2. They prioritize compatibility over chemistry. Chemistry is easy. Anybody can spark butterflies. Compatibility is rare. A compatible partner respects effort, communicates clearly, handles conflict without destruction, shares values, not just vibes. That's what these men look for. 3. They stay grounded in their purpose. A man with purpose is harder to manipulate and impossible to derail. He doesn't make a woman his entire world. He makes her part of a world already in motion. Women respect men who are building something, not men waiting to be completed. 4. They set expectations. Early. Not through lectures, but through behavior. Consistency shows self-respect. Boundaries show maturity. Direction shows leadership. The right woman recognizes it. The wrong woman resents it. Both reactions are clarity. 5. They walk away without drama. The strongest move a modern man has is the willingness to leave peacefully. Not to punish, not to manipulate. To protect his energy, dignity, and future. Good women respect men who respect themselves. Bad matches reveal themselves quickly when a man maintains his line. The truth is simple. Modern dating is not hopeless. It's selective. And the men who win are not the ones shouting online about how everything is ruined. They're the ones who master themselves, filter with intention, and refuse to compromise values in exchange for temporary companionship. Become one of those men, and the chaos stops being a threat. It becomes a filter, helping you find the rare women who still believe in partnership, gratitude, and mutual effort. Part 5. Redefining partnership in a broken era. By now, you've seen the shift clearly. You've understood the chaos, the imbalance, the cultural programming, and the traps men fall into. But part 5 is where the entire narrative turns, because recognizing the problem is only the beginning. This part is about constructing something better, not just for men, not just for women, but for the future of relationships. The harsh truth is this: modern dating is not designed to help men and women come together. It's designed to keep both sides defensive, dissatisfied, and distrustful. Men are taught to fear being used. Women are taught to fear being controlled. Everyone is told to protect themselves, yet no one is taught how to build anything. But a man with clarity, standards, self-respect, and emotional discipline becomes immune to the chaos. He stops reacting to trends and starts creating structure. And structure, steady expectation, consistent leadership, calm direction, is exactly what most people secretly crave but will never admit. This is how modern men build partnerships that actually work. 1. They don't compete with women, they complement them. Modern culture has created a tug-of-war dynamic. Who gives more? Who sacrifices less? Who holds more power? Real men refuse to play this childish game. They don't fight for dominance, they create harmony. They know masculinity and femininity aren't enemies, they're counterparts. A strong man doesn't need to overpower a woman. He empowers her while remaining grounded in himself. 2. They build environments where accountability is normal, not through force, through example. When a man holds himself accountable, emotionally, financially, behaviorally, it naturally encourages the other person to match his level. If she can't or won't, he doesn't argue. He simply steps away. Accountability isn't control, it's respect. 3. They create boundaries that invite respect, not fear. Weak men avoid boundaries because they're scared of losing someone. Strong men maintain boundaries because they refuse to lose themselves. When expectations are clear, women who value partnership rise to meet them. Women who don't simply leave, which is a blessing, not a loss. The men who win don't cling, they filter. 4. They don't chase peace, they choose it. A relationship shouldn't feel like emotional firefighting. It shouldn't be constant negotiation, drama, or instability. Peace isn't what men receive. Peace is what they create by choosing the right partner and refusing the wrong one. A peaceful life isn't luck, it's discipline. 5. They lead without apology. Leadership isn't domination, it's direction, it's vision, it's responsibility. Women, even modern ones, gravitate toward men who know where they're going, not because they're weak, but because shared direction creates shared purpose. This is your final wake-up call. The dating market is chaotic, but it's not hopeless. The key is not changing women. The key is choosing wisely, leading firmly, loving clearly, and living intentionally. When you master yourself, the world stops being a battlefield. It becomes a sorting mechanism, separating those who drain you from those meant to build with you. Part 6. The final shift. Becoming the man who chooses, not the man who settles. This final part is where everything comes together. Not in anger, not in blame, not in nostalgia for a past that isn't coming back, but in clarity. The kind of clarity that allows a man to move through the modern dating world without fear, confusion, resentment, or desperation. Because here is the truth most men never hear. You are not powerless in this new era. You are not a victim of the dating market. You are not doomed to settle or suffer. You are the selector, if you choose to be. Modern culture has convinced men that they're lucky to get anything at all, that they should be grateful for bare minimum effort, that wanting reciprocity is asking too much, that enforcing boundaries is toxic, that standards are misogynistic. But here's the reality. A man with high standards isn't intimidating. He's rare, and rarity creates leverage. The dating world may be chaotic, but chaos favors those who are centered. It favors the man who knows who he is, what he values, and what he will or will not tolerate. It favors the man who refuses to become cynical, but also refuses to become naive. So in this last part, we turn to the transformation, the mindset shift that separates the men who suffer from the men who thrive. 1. A modern man leads himself. First, in the past, men were expected to lead families. Today, the first person you must lead is yourself. A man with discipline, financial, emotional, physical, spiritual, is a man no woman can manipulate or destabilize. Self-leadership is the foundation of all relationship success. If you cannot lead yourself, you cannot lead a partnership. 2. He values connection, not validation. Men ruin themselves chasing female approval. They lose purpose, direction, and identity trying to be enough. The modern man understands the difference between validation, which drains him, connection, which strengthens him. He doesn't need applause, constant reassurance, or approval to feel like a man. He builds himself from the inside out. 3. He sees women as individuals, not a monolith. Some women are entitled. Some are exceptional. Some expect everything and give little. Some give everything and expect little. A wise man doesn't generalize. He filters. He evaluates character, not gender. He chooses compatibility, not stereotypes. This is how he avoids resentment and finds real partnership. 4. He stays disciplined in the face of loneliness. The biggest trap for men today is settling out of fear. Fear of aging alone, fear of scarcity, fear of missing out. But loneliness is not an enemy. Loneliness is a furnace. If you sit in it long enough, it forges identity, purpose, and standards. Weak men run from loneliness. Strong men master it. 5. He chooses from strength, not desperation. When a man knows his value, he chooses slowly, carefully, intentionally. He doesn't chase chaos. He doesn't reward entitlement. He doesn't negotiate his dignity. He chooses the woman who aligns with his mission, not the one who distracts him from it. And that is the final shift. The power in modern dating belongs to the man who refuses to abandon himself, the man who stays grounded while everyone else is confused, the man who creates peace in a culture addicted to conflict. Women may not be what they used to be, but neither is the world. So become the man this world can't shake, a man defined not by who chooses him, but by who he chooses. Part 7. The new era of partnership, what men must build, not fear. Part 7 marks the turning point, the place where the conversation stops being about what's wrong with the modern world and starts becoming about what's possible for men who think clearly, lead wisely, and choose intentionally. This part is not about blaming women or romanticizing the past. It's about redefining masculine strategy in a world where everything is louder, faster, more confusing, and less stable than before. Because here's the truth. The modern era is not a punishment for men. It's an opportunity for clarity. When the old social script breaks, a new one can be written. And the men who thrive are the men who stop obsessing over what women aren't and start focusing on what they can become themselves. This chapter is about building a new model of partnership, one that isn't based on tradition alone or modernity alone, but on principles that have always worked, regardless of generation. 1. The modern man builds a life that attracts peace, not chaos. Most men chase relationships hoping they will complete them, but powerful men build lives that naturally attract the right partners. When your life has structure, ambition, direction, and discipline, it becomes a filter. Women addicted to drama do not feel comfortable in your presence. Women who value growth gravitate toward you. Women who thrive in peace recognize your mindset immediately. Peace is not a product of luck, it is a byproduct of design. 2. He understands that partnership requires dual competence. Gone are the days where men do everything financial and women do everything domestic. Gone also are the days where one partner contributes and the other simply exists. The modern formula is simple: two adults, two contributors, two responsible humans, not identical roles, complementary ones, not competition, collaboration, not resentment, reciprocity. This is the new relationship standard, and it's far healthier than any nostalgic fantasy. 3. He cultivates emotional intelligence without losing masculine edge. Modern men often fall into extremes, either emotionally unavailable or overly accommodating. The men who win today understand balance: calm but not passive, expressive but not needy, compassionate but not self-sacrificing, assertive but not aggressive. Women respect men who can handle emotions, theirs and their own, without collapsing, avoiding, or exploding. 4. He avoids polarization and chooses wisdom over reaction. The internet is full of extremes. One side says, all women are queens. The other side says, all women are enemies. Both are wrong. Exceptional people exist, but they must be chosen with discernment. Terrible partners exist, but they must be filtered, not hated. Men who become polarized lose the ability to judge accurately. Wisdom lives in the middle. 5. He builds a relationship where leadership and contribution flow. Both ways. Leadership does not mean control. Submission does not mean weakness. Masculine and feminine energies still exist, but they thrive through choice, not coercion. The strongest relationships today follow a simple pattern. He leads direction. She leads connection. He builds foundation. She builds harmony. Both build each other. No power struggle, no resentment, just growth. The final message of Part 7. The world has changed. Women have changed. Men have changed, and relationships have changed. But the core truth remains. Strong, disciplined, purpose-driven men still attract strong, supportive, emotionally grounded women. That hasn't disappeared. It's just harder to see through the noise. Your task isn't to fear modern women. Your task is to become the kind of man who naturally rises above modern dysfunction and aligns with women who do the same. The era of complaining is over. The era of building begins. Conclusion: the bold truth men need to hear. Here's the final truth: sharp, clear, and impossible to ignore. The modern world didn't ruin relationships. It simply exposed who you must become to make one work. You can blame culture, entitlement, programming, or shifting gender roles. You can point to the chaos, the contradictions, the emotional volatility. But none of that changes the reality that you, not society, not women, are responsible for the standards you hold and the life you build. The old contract is gone, the rules have changed, but the opportunity remains. Strong men still attract strong partners. Disciplined men still earn respect. Purpose-driven men still inspire loyalty, and self-respecting men still create relationships worth having. The world hasn't removed good women. It has simply made them harder to find and required men to become sharper, clearer, and more intentional to recognize them. Modern dating isn't a curse. It's a filter. It separates the men who complain from the men who choose. It separates those who chase validation from those who build value. It separates those who settle from those who stand firm. And here is the boldest truth of all: a man with standards, purpose, peace, and self-respect is never at the mercy of the dating market. He becomes the one who defines it. Your grandfather's marriage may be gone, but a new kind of partnership, stronger, clearer, more intentional, can rise in its place. If you refuse to lower yourself, you will never have to lower your standards. This is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of your power.